Hello everybody, welcome to another review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the brand new album by Thornhill. This is Bodies, their third LP. And yeah, let's go through the tracks and see how this album holds up compared to their debut record, The Dark Pool, an album that focused more on the progressive metal elements and was generally one of the most well-received metalcore albums I've seen from a lot of fans in the genre, to Heroine, an album that I think, in my opinion, was a huge departure from the quality of that, with weaker mixing and a very heavy inspirational bias to have more of a Deftones, Muse, Loathe presence in their sound, which isn't a bad idea, but the album definitely lacks a lot of charm that I had going into the Dark Pool, especially as I remember that album's release date, and when it first came out, I was ecstatic with it, but we'll see how Bodies goes. I did want to talk about this album earlier yesterday, but unfortunately I was at work, so I didn't actually have time to talk about it. And there's a few other albums I've missed. I want to talk about The Darkness, so I probably might post a review on that some point too. But let's just go through it. I'm going to go through track by track for this one. So Diesel is the lead opening track, not lead single, and this one is a short but snappy song. You've just got some classic Thornhill angst there. I like the riffs, I like the energy on this one. Diesel isn't anything incredible in my personal opinion. I think it's just kind of a more of a standard track on the record, but it's still a good opener. It doesn't hold up, in my opinion, to the Hellfire Club or Views from the Sun. It's probably my least favourite opener, but Diesel's still pretty good. Revolver is a huge step up from Diesel though. This one is absolutely amazing. Lyrically it's great. I love the atmosphere. Love the aggression on there. The breakdown's really cool as well. Revolver definitely feels like a one of the more higher standards for Thornhill on this record. Love this track. I think it's generally one of the best tracks they've put out on this record. Silver Swarm's the third single. This was going to be my track of the week, but it got stopped by something, and I can't remember which track it was, but Silver Swarm's great. This one has a very nice calm aesthetic, and I like the ethereal shoegaziness on the chorus, which this is kind of a more present part into the sound. While I think this is a step away from more of the standard metalcore, I think it's more of an alternative metal fusion, with shoegaze and new metal being the main priority here with the band now. So Silver Swarm, I think, definitely is a perfect example to weave old fans into this permanent change the band wants to go for, and it's nice. I think Silver Swarm's probably maybe my favourite song of the album so far from what we've mentioned, but that's just because I know this one more as a single, and it is a really good single, but Revolver is definitely not far behind. Only Ever You, this one's decent. I find this one just kind of be one of the more forgettable tracks though. It definitely feels like one of the more tamer ones. Lyrically, I think this one's definitely beautiful, and I think the structure they go into is nice, but the only thing I ever really remember with this one is it just links to Fall Into the Wind, which is an interlude, so I won't really talk about that one, as it's just a instrumental interlude or more or less an extended outro to Only Ever You, which is a decent song, but not the biggest fan of it. Tongues is great. This was the last single. This one definitely made me think the band's going properly into the new metal structure, and this one just absolutely goes into just kind of this more 90s, noughties mix with more of this ethereal shoegaziness, and Tongues is great. I love how this is one of the heavier songs. It's fun. Probably my least favourite of the four singles off the record, but Tongues is still an energetic banger, and that's not what we really had much on Heroine. This album's already got a lot more aggression with more breakdowns and just a lot more uncleans, which is nice to see. Nerve was one of my track of the week's picks. This song was one I got to see early before it released at one of the Thornhill shows in the UK. Nerve's incredible. I love the energy then, and I just love how well the song sounds in studio. This is easily one of the best songs they put out ever, in my opinion. Nerve is just this very good, ethereal, Deftoney sort of chorus structure, and I just love the way it goes into it. And even the lyrics definitely are some of the strongest, after Heroine having some of the weakest lyrics the band's put out. I think Nerve is easily one of the best written songs. I love the chorus, I just love the energy, and I just love the aggression this song has as well. Nerve is just I think it's a good mix of everything Thornhill wants to represent now, and I think it's a perfect choice for a second single. You have Obsession, which this was a single released last year, and I like this one a lot. Obsession probably is one of my top 3 or 5 songs from Thornhill. It's my favourite off the record still. I don't think the band's topped it, and I will say I think the mix for this new sound of Obsession isn't quite as good as the original, but they had to make it fit with the record because this song was just so well loved and they wanted to include it, especially since it was one of the biggest songs they put out. So yeah, Obsession made the cut, but Viper Room, the single before, did not, because it wasn't really a song that fit any album style they went for, and I don't think the band liked it, as they said numerous times at shows that they did not care for Viper Room. But I'm happy Obsession made it, because this song is just so good to pass up. It is easily my favourite from the record. Crush is a good song. This one's more or less a electronic focused one. You get some little bits of strings as well, but the main focus of it is just kind of this synthwave, electronic, poppy sound for Crush, and I think it's a nice, interesting direction to take it. It certainly makes it stand out, but I think it just kind of feels very much like it stands out. Not in a bad way, but just that's the only thing I really remember it for, just being this complete different change of pace and genre. And bands do this a lot, and I get that, but Crush, I think, is a nice sounding song nonetheless. It probably is one of my least favourites, so I just find myself finding this just to kind of be the okay. I mean, we've had 3 singles back to back that are amazing, and then going into Crush, it just kind of feels a bit weird. I don't know. I like Crush. It's still a good song, but probably my least favourite. Under the Knife is actually one of the best songs the non-singles has to offer. The chorus is incredible, the structuring is nice, this kind of sharp, buzzing instrumental, especially throughout the song, is very sick indeed. I love the way that they incorporated it, and I'm happy that Under the Knife is one of the last songs, because this definitely got my interest from Bodies built back up after Crush, and I think Under the Knife is just banger. Definitely a top 3 song, at least. It has to be in the top 3, because this one is just insane. The breakdown is nice too. I kind of saw it coming, and it isn't quite the best on the record, but it's still a great breakdown nonetheless. It's a breakdown, so they're normally hard to fumble. And then we have For Now. This one is more of a serious, more emotionally driven song, and it's a nice way to end the record off. Nothing insane, nothing crazy, but it's still pretty good nonetheless. It's not Where Do We Go When We Die soul level of incredible or Heroine, and similar feature how the weakest opening song is this record. I will unfortunately have to say it's the same case with this one as well. I think Heroine and as I said, When We Go When They Die just kind of have a bit more of an emotional impact. I connect to more, but I think as a whole the album here definitely tops Heroine. Heroine's consistency is off the roof weird. The mixing definitely brings the songs down a lot, but I just think the opening tracks and the closing tracks for both records do generally have some of the best ideas off the records, whereas Body's best ideas is more or less the meat in the middle of the record, which is pretty much almost every song. It's a good album. I've been seeing people saying it's album of the year worthy or 10 out of 10, and I don't agree. I don't think it's a perfect record. There's definitely some good ideas, but some of the drawbacks I have with it is that I think the Dark Pool is still much more creative concept that works a lot better. And while this is a step up from Heroine in a lot of ways, there are a few songs that I just kind of wish there was a bit more to them, especially towards the end, with Crush, For Now, and Only Ever You as well. I feel like most of the non-album singles just don't really hit the highs a lot of the singles did, and only Under the Knife and Revolver hold up to the standard that I really enjoyed for it. It's still a great record, like a 4 out of 5 I'd give it personally, because I think it still has a lot of great ideas. The album has a lot of consistency. I wouldn't skip anything, but I just don't think it has the same enjoyment value as I had with the debut. And I know the band wants to kind of go for this more Deftones, Muse, Loathe, shoegazy, grunge gaze blend into alternative metal, and I understand that that's the direction they really wanted to go, and they hate the Dark Pool, but I'm sorry, I still think the Dark Pool is the magnum opus, and while I can enjoy these albums for what they are, I think Thornhill's a band that's kind of hit their peak early, and we probably might not see it again, unless they can really do an album that tops this, for sure. I still have to say I miss Thornhill and what they used to be, but at least with Bodies, it's definitely shown me that they can still make it work, and I still enjoy the new stuff nonetheless. But Heroine was definitely a sign that the band needed to step up, and I'm glad that they did, even if it's not the best album. Bodies is great, and that's all I really have to say, so I hope you enjoy. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video.